Of course, this is a unique marathon in that it crosses from one continent to another, and therefore many athletes from around the world like to come and race here and tick this one off. Marathon tourists, you could call them, I suppose, in that they like to run the major city marathons. Of course, the World Marathon Majors, the 6 big marathons, 3 in the USA, Chicago, Boston, New York, and then Berlin, Tokyo, and London. And there is talk of another race joining that grouping. Sydney has been mooted as being the next race to become a World Marathon Major race, although when I last commentated on that race about 3 years ago, it left quite a bit to be desired in terms of its course quality. It is the most beautiful marathon in the world, crossing from one continent to another, that's for sure. And the mayor there welcoming all the athletes. There is a 15K as well today, but the main feature of the day, the feature race, is the marathon, due off in about 8 minutes' time. There you can see the difference between the form of the wheelchair racers. They can relax on this down slope from the apex of the main bridge, having worked hard on the incline over the first half. Well, the world record, of course, in the men's marathon, just to mark your cards, is 2 hours and 35 seconds. That was set by Kelvin Kiptum of Kenya, the late Kelvin Kiptum, in Chicago in October last year, early October last year. Of course, Kiptum very sadly was killed just a few weeks after that world record in a road crash in Kenya. But we are more concerned today with the men's course record and whether or not an attack on that can be successful. It is 2 hours, 9 minutes and 44 seconds. The benchmark for world-class distance running used to be 2 hours, 10 minutes, but with the arrival on the scene of shoe technology that has enabled athletes to run and train harder, so that has to be adjusted. And with the several athletes now knocking on the door of the 2 hour barrier, there is every reason to suggest that really top world-class running begins at about 2 hours, 8 minutes. I think we can lop a couple of minutes off our old thinking. And indeed, the old 2:12 athlete, the old 2:15 athlete is now 2:12 athlete, and so on. And on the women's side, of course, it's made a similar adjustment. I mean, Paula Radcliffe's world records lasted for somewhat 17 years, 2:15. And it is now down to below 2:10 at the women's world record, thanks to Ruth Chepngetich. On the 13th of October, just some 3 weeks ago, Chepngetich setting that 2:09.56. European record, by the way, is Sifan Hassan's 2 hours 13:44. That was in Chicago in October last year. And I've heard reasons over the last couple of days as to why Chicago now has both men's and women's world records and the European record on the women's side. And it's to do with the fact that the roads through Chicago are largely concrete, which is harder than asphalt. You can see here this is tarmac, this road surface in Istanbul. Tarmac, or asphalt as it's called in the USA. But that has a little bit of give to it. Might not seem like it if you bang your head on it, but it does have a little bit of give to it, a bit of flexibility, whereas concrete is rock hard. And when the new shoes are applied to concrete, as they are at the Chicago Marathon, then there is a better return of energy from the shoe into the athlete, and the athlete therefore loses less energy. That's the theory anyway. That's what's been explained to me the last couple of days. Well, there is the Blue Mosque. That is very close to where the marathon finishes in Sarkeshi Gulhan Park. But there is a climb from 41K down on the coastal road. There is a steady climb. It actually comes in 2 inclines. A vicious short one to begin with, then it flattens out and even drops a little bit inside the park, and then it climbs again, a good steady climb up towards the finish line here, where our commentary position is situated. There you can see the athletes getting ready. Well over 7,000, around 7,500 lining up for this 42.2 kilometre race this morning. Does look, doesn't it, suspiciously light. The sun has broken out. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but it will, there is no doubt, be a glorious morning for marathon running. And I always say that what is the sustainable quality of marathon running or marathon racing is the actual racing. And that is man against man, woman against woman. We talk about records so much of the time in athletics, and I often feel that that is an error, that we set ourselves up for disappointment if we talk again and again about record setting, chasing course records, national records, world records, continental records, you name it, any records. If you keep talking about records, then you are more times than not going to be disappointed. All the more reason, therefore, to focus upon the great racing.